All right, it's time for me to hop in the shower, but before I do that, I'm gonna like watch the rest of this show. Um, this is very interesting from Africa. Wow, I never heard of this particular name of this woman until someone just whispered it inside of the YouTube last night. So I did the research of this name and she comes up. But the only reason why I want to record this is because, wow, she's like in a tent, kind of like in my coma dream when I was finally rescued from somewhere where I was trapped for a long time. When I was rescued, uh, there's no name, but the being that saved me from a different place showed me my past dreams and then told me pay attention to this next one. And I was inside of like a tent, but it looked a lot better than this tent here. It looked a lot better. It was more decorated and we had better chairs than that. And me, I was sitting on a really nice chair and my man was the one sitting next to me to the left. And we were both accepting gifts from people that come from a portal and they walk inside our tent one by one to celebrate the future birth of my son. I'm not going to give his name though. But this is interesting. I never watched the ending of this, so yeah, let's do this,
From the
Kizzy.
chaos of the palace. He often arrived at her door, breathing heavily, his face etched with frustration and sorrow.
Oh, wait, Kizzy. This is why I wanted to talk about it. Yeah, this kind of stuff is in that stupid Bible. Yeah, the Bible is evil. They're fake as hell with that Bible stuff. This woman did not come from some dude's body part. Like the woman, the women. No, the women were not created from some men's sperm or whatever the hell that Bible is saying. The men and women who were doing bad things and then they had to go on the earth because the woman did bad things to the man and then God got angry and said, oh well, both of y'all are getting tossed out. Damn, well, yeah, y'all wonderful. God is not so wonderful. The people y'all worshiping and putting that cross around your neck to celebrate the hanging of a tree, which is the hanging of the mindsets of the children. But you are all the so-called Jesus. You are the so-called Jesus, but the name is false. It's more of the souls. But anyways, let's just keep forward with
His
this,
face in
Kizzy.
her hands, his burden seemed to melt away, leaving only peace in her presence. One night, as the stars twinkled above, Unruly gently woke Namdi, who had fallen asleep in her hut. My prince, she whispered softly, her voice laced with concern. It is late. You should go. It is not safe for you to be out at this hour. She hesitated, lowering her gaze. Besides, your fifth wife should have put to bed by now. Namdi sighed deeply, nodding as he reluctantly gathered himself. Every step toward the door felt like a weight on his soul. As he opened the door to leave, Unwooly's voice called out gently, stopping him in his tracks. My prince, she said, her voice trembling, may the gods give you a son. Namdi turned and forced a faint smile, his eyes filled with unspoken emotion, before disappearing
Oh
into
wait,
the
that was
night.
in there.
Left alone, Unwooly collapsed onto her mat, tears streaming down her face as she sobbed for him, her heart aching for the love they could never fully share. Adaora paced back and forth in the dimly
Um,
lit royal room of the palace, her red wrapper trailing behind her. She clutched her hands together, her face twisted with frustration. Queen Irima, seated regally on a carved wooden throne adorned with golden details, watched her daughter-in-law with a stern expression, her face barely betraying her thoughts. My queen, Adaora began, her voice trembling with bitterness. He doesn't even look at me. Since the twins were born, he has no interest in me or his duties as a man. He spends his nights wandering, doing God knows what, and I'm left alone. Queen Irima's jaw tightened. A prince has many burdens, Adaora. Perhaps if you had given him a son, his focus would be on you. Adaora stopped pacing, her frustration frustration boiling over. It's not just that, my queen. I know where he goes. I know who he goes to. She spat the words out bitterly. He
I
goes to
wonder if
that
she
old
ends up
witch,
getting pregnant with a
unruly.
little boy,
What
just like
hold does
me
that
in my
barren
dream
woman
in my
have over
coma.
him? The queen's expression darkened, her voice cutting through the room
Mm,
like a blade. Don't worry.
mm,
Inkem is about to put to bed. She has been in
mm,
labor for 5 hours now. And I have been told by a very powerful oracle from a
mm,
neighboring village that she will birth a son. But, Adaora stuttered, won't the birth of a son release the prince to marry that woman? Queen Irima laughed. You are such a child that knows nothing. When Namdi finally has a son, his eyes will open. A son means the kingdom's future is secured. He will focus on the son and its mother, and no other woman will matter. But, Adara tried to say when the midwife burst into the room, my queen, Princess Inkem has finally put to bed. By the time Namdi's fifth wife, Inkem gave birth to his eighth daughter, he had reached his breaking point. During a council meeting where they were planning his sixth wife, Namdi snapped, no more, he yelled, quieting the room. I have done it your way. And what do I have to show for it 5 years later? A bunch of wives and no sons. I am done with this torture. I will marry Anwuli, and I will hear no more talk of
and
heirs or
woo.
conditions.
Mm,
She is my queen, and that is final.
and
The elders
woo.
muttered among themselves, and the
Woo.
queen wept openly. But Namdi's resolve was unshakable. The announcement sent shockwaves through the kingdom. The young maidens, enraged, plotted to humiliate Anwuli. On the eve of her wedding, a group of them poured ash and animal blood at the entrance of her hut, hoping to shame her into rejecting the prince. Anwuli stood
What? Huh? Oh. Yeah, we're gonna stop there.
firm, her
Damn.
dignity unshaken. The next day, she married Namdi in a simple yet profound ceremony. The wedding was unlike any of his other weddings. There were no grand feasts or golden decorations. Instead, it was held in Anwuli's modest courtyard, under the light of the full moon. Villagers gathered quietly, watching as Namdi and Anwuli exchanged their vows. Never had they seen the prince so contented on his wedding day. After their marriage, Namdi spent
Oh.
most of his time in Anwuli's modest hut that the king reluctantly had built for her on the palace grounds, much to the disapproval of Namdi's other wives and Queen Irima. The couple's love was a beacon, unshaken by whispers and scorn. The palace was absolutely shocked to the core when rumors that Princess Anwuli was pregnant, a
Let me
development that
guess. A
stunned
little
the entire
boy.
kingdom. 9 months later, she gave birth to a son, Prince Namdi proudly named Obina. Gossip, rumors, and speculation ran through the kingdom like wildfire. The oracle that was banished had been right all along. A year later, Princess Anwuli would again drop the jaws of everyone in Umuoba when she gave birth to a second son, Emeka.
Wow.
2 years after that, she shut down her critics permanently
Hmm?
when she gave birth to the youngest prince, Kalesi. The birth of
Wait a
three
minute.
sons silenced the skeptics
Hmm?
and transformed Anwuli's status in the kingdom of Umuoba. King Akuna and Queen Irima, faced with
Wow.
undeniable evidence of Anwuli's worth, sought the forgiveness of the gods and the oracle they had once banished. The oracle returned to the palace, his dignity intact, and proclaimed, the gods chose Anwuli long ago to bear the future kings of Umuoba. In their final days, King Akuna and Queen Irima acknowledged their folly. We were so blinded by traditions and customs that we ignored the words of the gods. They confessed. Anwuli, forgive us. Anwuli, ever gracious, forgave them, her heart full as she watched Queen Irima hold her first grandson, and declared, this family's royal legacy has been forged for the foreseeable future. For this boy is the future king of Umuoba, once his father's reign has come to an end. As his father, Prince Namdi, will become king once his father's reign has come to an end. With the passing of King Akuna, ancestors who doted on them endlessly. The kingdom of Umuoba thrived under the
Wow.
rule of King Namdi and Queen Anwuli,
Damn, we
their
need
love
that
story
back.
a testament to resilience and
Okay.
destiny. Queen Anwuli raised her sons in the way only the oracle knew she could, as their journeys had only just begun. Hey, storytellers and story
Now
lovers.
that's
Thank you
my
so
new
much
life.
for watching my first folktale video. I
Just
hope you
forget
enjoyed
about their
it.
false news.
Please help me grow my
This is
channel
time
by
for
being
my
the
new
first
life
to
now.
subscribe